High Commander Vexathara walked through the halls of her flagship with 4 of her arms behind her back. The ship was enormous, bigger than most human cities. Her people had built it to show their power to any species that might think about challenging them. She entered the command center where her allies waited. The room was huge, with a curved ceiling that showed the stars outside. Representatives from 6 different alien species sat around a large table that floated in the air without any support. "Welcome, friends," Vexathara said as she took her place at the head of the table. "We are here to discuss what to do with the humans." Commander Zack of the Cathera clicked his mandibles together. He looked like a giant praying mantis with black armor covering his body. "Why are we even talking about them? They are insects compared to us. We should just destroy their colonies and be done with it." "Patience, Zack," said Elder Bright Crystal of the Soltari. Her body was made of living crystal that changed colors as she spoke. "We must follow proper procedure, even when dealing with primitive species." The Nethian representative, who looked like a cloud of purple gas floating in a containment suit, made a sound like wind through trees. "The humans amuse me. They actually think they can negotiate with us." Vexathara smiled, showing her sharp teeth. "Speaking of amusement, let me show you something." She waved one of her hands, and a screen appeared in the air above the table. "This is the latest transmission from the human leadership." The screen showed a human woman in a blue uniform. She had short brown hair and looked very serious. This was Chief Science Officer Amy Carter from Earth Command. She spoke in a calm voice. "To the representatives of the Zephyrian Empire, I am Amy Carter, speaking on behalf of humanity. We understand that we may have unknowingly violated your territory. We are a peaceful species that seeks only to explore and learn. Perhaps we can discuss a compromise that would allow both our peoples to coexist in this vast galaxy." The aliens around the table began laughing. Zack made a chittering sound that was how his species showed amusement. Bright Crystal's body flashed, with colors that meant she found something funny. Even the serious Nethian made a sound like wind chimes. "Did you hear that?" asked Commander Thex of the Reptilian Confederation. His scales were dark green and his eyes glowed red. "She thinks they can coexist with us, as if we are equals." Vexathara paused the transmission. "The humans have sent us 17 similar messages in the past day, each one more desperate than the last. They keep talking about peace and friendship." "Have they shown us their military strength?" asked Admiral Crone of the Metallic Union. His body was made of living metal that shifted and changed shape as he moved. "This is the best part," Vexathara said. She waved her hand again and new images appeared. They showed human spaceships, small blocky vessels that looked primitive compared to the sleek alien ships. "These are their warships," Vexathara explained. "They call them destroyers and cruisers. Our science teams have scanned them. They use chemical rockets for power. Their weapons fire metal projectiles. Their shields are just metal plates." The laughter grew louder. Zack stood up and clicked his mandibles rapidly. "My smallest patrol ship could destroy 10 of those things. Our intelligence reports are even more interesting," Vexathara continued. "The humans still fight wars among themselves on their home planet. They have not even achieved unity among their own species, yet they dare to expand into space." She brought up more information on the screen. "They have colonies on only 12 worlds. Their total population in space is less than 50 million. We have single ships with more people on them." Elder Bright Crystal's colors shifted to show deep amusement. "How did such a weak species manage to develop space travel at all?" "Luck, mostly," said Commander Thex. Our scientists believe they stumbled onto the right technology by accident. They do not truly understand what they have built. The Nethian spoke again, his voice like a whisper of wind. I have read their history. They have been in space for less than 100 years. We have been traveling between stars for over 2,000 years. Admiral Crone leaned forward, his metal body reflecting the lights in the room. What is their response time for military decisions? How fast can they move their ships? Vexthera smiled wider. This is the most amusing part. It takes 6 hours for messages to travel from their frontier colonies to their homeworld. Their fastest ships need weeks to travel between star systems. If we attack one of their colonies, it would take them months to send help. Months? Zack laughed so hard his whole body shook. We could conquer their entire empire before they could organize a response. Which brings us to why we are here, Vexithara said. Her voice became more serious. We could simply destroy them, but I think they could serve a better purpose. The room grew quiet. All the aliens looked at her with interest. Explain, said Elder Bright Crystal. There are other young species in this part of the galaxy. Species that might think about expanding beyond their home systems. If we make an example of the humans, if we show the galaxy what happens to species that expand without permission, it will save us from having to deal with each one individually. Commander Thex nodded slowly. You want to use the humans as a warning to others. Exactly. We will defeat them so completely, so publicly, that no other species will dare to challenge us for the next 1,000 years. Admiral Crone's metal body shifted into a more comfortable position. How do you suggest we do this? First, we accept their surrender. We let them think they can negotiate. Then, we broadcast their defeat across the galaxy. We show every species how easily we crushed the humans. The Nethian made a sound like distant thunder. The humans will surrender quickly. They do not have the spirit to fight a war they cannot win. Our intelligence suggests you are correct. Vexithara agreed. They are already talking about evacuation. Some of their colonies want to surrender immediately. Zack clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. What about their technology? Is there anything useful we can learn from them? Vexithara waved dismissively with 2 of her hands. Nothing. Their technology is so primitive that our museums would not want it. Even our historical archives have better examples of early spaceflight technology. Elder Bright Crystal's colors shifted to show agreement. Then we are decided. We will accept their surrender and use their defeat as an example to the galaxy. There is one more thing, Vexithera said. The humans have asked for more time to evacuate their colonies. They claim they need additional time to move their people safely. How much time do they want? Asked Commander Thex. 2 weeks. The aliens laughed again. Admiral Crone made a sound like metal grinding against metal, which was how his species laughed. 2 weeks to abandon everything they have built. How pathetic. Should we give them the extra time? Asked the Nethian. Vexthara thought for a moment. Yes. It will make their defeat seem even more complete. Let them have their 2 weeks. Let them hope they can find a way out of this. Then, when they realize they cannot escape, their surrender will be even more satisfying. She stood up, her 4 arms spread wide. My friends, we are about to witness the complete surrender of an entire species. The humans thought they could expand into our galaxy without consequences. Soon they will learn how wrong they were. The Council meeting ended with the sound of alien laughter echoing through the massive ship. None of them suspected that the humans might have any surprises waiting for them. 300 feet below the Mojave Desert, Dr. Ben Taylor walked through a corridor that officially did not exist. The walls were made of smooth metal that gleamed under bright white lights. His footsteps echoed in the silence as he made his way to the most classified facility on Earth. He placed his hand on a scanner next to a heavy door. A blue light scanned his palm, his eyes, and even took a sample of his DNA. After a moment, the door slid open with a soft hiss. "Welcome to Project Lazarus, Dr. Taylor," said a computer voice. Ben stepped into a room that few people on Earth knew existed. Banks of computers lined the walls, their screens showing data that would change everything the aliens thought they knew about humanity. Captain Nicole Smith was waiting for him, dressed in a black uniform without any visible rank markings. "Ben, thank you for coming so quickly," Nicole said. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp and alert. "We've been monitoring the alien communications. It's time to activate the protocol." Ben nodded and sat down at his workstation. For the past 30 years, he had been the head scientist for humanity's most secret project. Very few people knew what he really did for a living. Even his wife thought he worked on weather satellites. "How much do we tell them?" Ben asked as his fingers moved across the keyboard. "Everything," Nicole replied. "The president has given full authorization. Congress has been briefed. It's time for the truth." Ben's screen came to life, showing a secure communication link to military bases around the world. One by one, faces appeared on the screen. These were the commanders of Earth's real military, not the public space force that everyone knew about, but the secret organization that had been preparing for this day for decades. "Gentlemen and ladies," Nicole began, "as of 6 hours ago, humanity made official first contact with an alien empire. As expected, they have demanded our complete surrender." General Paul Martinez appeared on the screen from a hidden base in Colorado. "Are we proceeding with the deception plan?" "Yes," Nicole confirmed. "The aliens believe we are a primitive species with basic technology. We're going to let them keep believing that until it's too late." Dr. Ben Taylor cleared his throat. "For those of you who are new to this briefing, let me explain what Project Lazarus really is." He pressed a button, and new images appeared on everyone's screens. The images showed sleek, advanced spaceships that looked nothing like the clunky vessels the public knew about. 53 years ago, an alien ship crashed in the mountains of Montana. The public never learned about it. The government recovered technology that was centuries ahead of anything we had. Instead of announcing this discovery, a secret decision was made. Ben paused, remembering that day when his predecessor had first shown him the alien wreckage. "We decided to learn everything we could from this technology, but to hide our progress from the universe. We knew that someday we might meet the species that built that ship, or others like them." Admiral Lisa Rodriguez joined the call from a submarine that was actually a mobile command center. "How advanced did we become?" "More advanced than the aliens who are threatening us now," Ben said simply. "The ship that crashed was from a species called the Hegemony. They had been running from the Zephyrian Empire for over 200 years before they reached Earth." The room was quiet as everyone absorbed this information. Captain Nicole Smith stepped forward. "The dying alien pilot gave us a warning before he passed away. He told us that the Zephyrians would eventually find Earth. He said our only chance was to become stronger than them without letting them know we existed." Colonel Mike Johnson appeared on screen from a hidden facility in Antarctica. "So we've been preparing for this specific threat for over 50 years?" "Exactly," Ben confirmed. Every piece of technology we developed was designed to fight the Zephyrians. We studied their methods, their ships, their weapons. We learned everything the hegemony alien could teach us before he died. Nicole activated another screen that showed a map of the solar system. But this map showed things that no public star chart had ever displayed. There were bases hidden in asteroid belts, shipyards built inside hollow moons, and weapon platforms disguised as space debris. While the public thinks humanity has 12 colonies and a few hundred ships, the truth is very different. Nicole explained. We have 47 hidden bases, 18 secret shipyards, and over 800 advanced warships. General Martinez leaned forward on his screen. What about the ships the aliens can see, the primitive ones? Ben smiled for the first time during the briefing. Those are decoys. We built them specifically to make humanity look weak. Every ship the aliens have scanned, every weapon they've detected, every piece of technology they think represents our best efforts, it's all fake. The real fleet uses cloaking technology we developed from the crashed ship, Nicole added. Our vessels are completely invisible to Zephyrian sensors. They've been watching us for months, studying our primitive technology, and they have no idea what we're really capable of. Admiral Rodriguez asked the question everyone was thinking. Are we actually stronger than they are? Ben brought up comparison charts on the screen. The crashed ship's computer contained detailed information about Zephyrian technology. Based on what we've learned, our current ships are approximately 40 years ahead of their most advanced vessels. 40 years? Colonel Johnson sounded amazed. The hegemony alien told us that the Zephyrians became overconfident, Ben explained. They conquered so many species that they stopped innovating. They've been using essentially the same technology for the past 300 years, just building bigger ships with more weapons. Meanwhile, Nicole continued, we've been developing new technology specifically designed to counter their advantages. Our shields can absorb their energy weapons and convert the power to strengthen our own systems. Our weapons can penetrate their shields as if they weren't there. The screens now showed detailed technical specifications that proved humanity's technological superiority. But Ben knew that technology alone would not win this conflict. There's something else, he said. The hegemony alien warned us about Zephyrian psychology. They're not just overconfident. They're incapable of believing that a primitive species could surprise them. General Martinez nodded slowly. So our best weapon is not our technology. It's their arrogance. Exactly. They've already decided. We're too weak to be a threat. They're not taking any precautions. They're not watching for hidden ships or advanced weapons. They think they know everything about us. Nicole walked to the center of the room. Ladies and gentlemen, the aliens have given us 72 hours to surrender. Instead, we're going to give them the biggest surprise in galactic history. What's the plan? Asked Admiral Rodriguez. We let them believe they've won, Nicole explained. We broadcast a surrender message. We let them move their fleets into position around our colonies. We make them feel completely safe and superior. Ben activated one more screen that showed the positions of hidden human ships throughout the solar system. Then, when they're least expecting it, we reveal our true strength. 800 advanced warships will uncloak simultaneously around their fleet. And then, asked Colonel Johnson. Nicole smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Then we teach the Zephyrian Empire that humanity is not a species to be laughed at. The call ended, leaving Ben and Nicole alone in the underground facility. Through the metal walls above them, the sun was setting on what might be humanity's last day as a seemingly primitive species. Do you think it will work? Ben asked. Nicole looked at the screens showing humanity's secret fleet. Ben, we've been preparing for this moment for 53 years. We've built ships that can defeat theirs. We've developed strategies they can't counter. Most importantly, we have something they lost long ago. What's that? The ability to surprise our enemies. Deep inside the asteroid belt, a piece of space rock that looked like all the others suddenly came to life. What appeared to be a natural asteroid was actually humanity's most secret shipyard. Hidden doors opened in the rock, revealing a hollow interior larger than most cities. Admiral Dan Rodriguez floated in zero gravity as he watched the final preparations. Around him, the secret fleet of humanity was waking up after decades of waiting. Ships that the public had never seen were powering up their engines for the first time in years. "Status report," Dan called to his assistant, Commander Kate Rogers. "All ships are responding to activation signals," Kate replied, checking her tablet. "We have confirmation from 17 hidden bases across the solar system. The fleet is ready. Dan." Pushed off from a wall and floated toward the observation deck. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see dozens of sleek warships. These vessels looked nothing like the clunky ships the aliens had been studying. They were smooth, curved, and beautiful in a way that suggested deadly efficiency. The UES Retribution was the largest ship in the hidden fleet. Captain Ryan Bell stood on its bridge, watching his crew prepare for their first real mission. For years, they had trained in secret, running simulations and practicing maneuvers that the regular Space Force never knew about. "Chief Foster, what's our engine status?" Ryan asked. Chief Engineer Megan Foster looked up from her control panel. Her hands moved quickly over controls that operated technology the Zephyrians had never seen. "All systems are green, Captain. The quantum drive is operating at full capacity." "Quantum drive?" asked Lieutenant Steve Parker, who was new to the secret program. Megan smiled. "It's based on technology we learned from the crashed alien ship. We can travel faster than anything the Zephyrians have. While their ships need hours to travel between planets, we can make the same trip in minutes." Ryan walked to the front of the bridge, where a large screen showed the space around them. "And our cloaking system?" "Fully operational," reported Science Officer Dr. Amy Walsh. "The Zephyrian sensors cannot detect us at all. As far as they know, this entire asteroid field is empty." The cloaking technology was humanity's greatest achievement. The crashed alien ship had contained the basic principles, but human scientists had improved on the design. Where the original technology could hide a ship for a few hours, the human version could keep vessels invisible indefinitely. In another part of the asteroid base, Captain Luke Hayes was briefing his crew aboard the UES Vengeance. His ship was smaller than the Retribution, but it was designed for a different purpose. "Our job is to disable their command ship," Luke explained to his officers. "Intelligence says the Zephyrian leader, High Commander Vexthara, is aboard their flagship. If we can capture her, the rest of their fleet might surrender without a fight." Commander Beth Warren, his second in command, raised her hand. "Captain, what about their shields? Intelligence reports say they're very strong." Luke activated a holographic display that showed the alien ship's technical specifications. "Their shields are strong against the primitive weapons they think we have, but our plasma cannons operate on a different principle." The display showed how human weapons would interact with alien defenses. "Their shields are designed to stop metal projectiles and basic energy beams. Our plasma weapons will pass right through them as if they weren't there." Back on the command station, Admiral Rodriguez was receiving reports from bases throughout the solar system. Hidden facilities on Mars, Europa, Titan, and dozens of other locations were all confirming their readiness. "Sir," Kate said, floating over to him with a communication device. "We're getting a transmission from the facility on Europa. Admiral Sarah Kim wants to speak with you." Dan activated the secure channel. Admiral Kim's face appeared on his screen. Behind her, he could see the interior of another hidden base. "Dan, our ice mining ships are in position," Sarah reported. "The Zephyrians think they're just civilian cargo vessels, but they're actually equipped with some of our most advanced weapons." "How many ships do you have ready?" Dan asked. 60 vessels, all cloaked and waiting. The aliens have been scanning them for days, but they only see old mining equipment and ice processing machinery. Dan nodded. The deception was working perfectly. The aliens were so convinced of human primitiveness that they weren't looking for hidden technology. Another communication came in, this time from the facility hidden inside Earth's moon. Commander Jack Turner appeared on screen, standing in front of what looked like a massive weapon. "Admiral, the lunar defense platform is online," Jack reported. "We've been disguising it as a research station for 30 years, but it's actually the most powerful weapon in the solar system." "How powerful?" Dan asked. "It can destroy a ship the size of the Zephyrian flagship with a single shot," Jack said proudly. "The weapon uses focused gravity waves that can tear apart matter at the molecular level." Dan felt a chill of excitement. The aliens had no idea what they were facing. Captain Ryan Bell received new orders and called his senior staff together in the Retribution's briefing room. The room was designed for zero-gravity meetings, with seats that could lock onto the walls, in any direction. "We've received our final mission parameters," Ryan announced. "When the signal comes, we'll be part of the first wave to decloak. Our job is to disable as many alien ships as possible without destroying them." "Why not destroy them?" asked Lieutenant Parker. "Because we want prisoners," explained Dr. Walsh. "We need to learn everything we can about the Zephyrian Empire. How big is it? What other species are part of it? What threats might we face in the future?" Megan Foster activated a holographic display showing the alien fleet's positions. Based on their current formation, they're not expecting any resistance at all. Their ships are spread out, their weapons are powered down, and their shields are at minimum strength. "It's like they're practically begging us to attack them," Ryan observed. Back in the asteroid base, Dan Rodriguez was making final preparations for humanity's response to the alien ultimatum. He opened a channel to every hidden facility in the solar system. "Attention all units," he began. "In 18 hours, the alien deadline will expire. At that time, we will execute Operation Revelation. Every ship, every weapon, every piece of advanced technology that we've kept hidden for 50 years will be revealed simultaneously." He paused, looking around at the hundreds of people who had dedicated their lives to this moment. "The aliens think they're dealing with a primitive species that barely learned to travel between stars. They're about to discover that humanity has been playing a much deeper game." Commander Rogers floated over to him with a final status report. "Sir, all ships are reporting ready. The cloaking systems are functioning perfectly. Weapons are charged, and targeting systems are locked onto alien vessels." "What about the timing?" Dan asked. "Every ship in the fleet is synchronized to the same atomic clock. When you give the signal, 837 vessels will decloak at exactly the same moment." Dan thought about the Zephyrian commander, sitting on her flagship, confident that she was dealing with helpless primitives. In just a few hours, she would learn the truth about humanity. "Kate, send a message to all ships," Dan ordered. "Tell them that 53 years ago an alien pilot warned us that this day would come. He told us that our only chance was to become strong enough to defend ourselves, but to hide that strength until the moment we needed it. He looked out at the hidden fleet, marveling at what humanity had accomplished in secret. Tell them that, tomorrow, we honor that alien sacrifice by showing the galaxy that humanity is not a species to be underestimated. The message went out across the secret network, reaching hundreds of ships and thousands of people who had spent their careers preparing for this moment. Soon, the Zephyrian Empire would learn that laughter at humanity's expense came with a very high price. President Alex Turner sat in the Oval Office, staring at a speech that would convince the galaxy that humanity was surrendering. Every word had been carefully chosen to make humans appear weak and defeated. Outside his window, Washington, D.C., looked peaceful, but Alex knew that in a few hours, everything would change. "Are you ready, sir?" asked his chief of staff, Carol Martinez. Alex nodded and walked to the podium where cameras were waiting. In a few minutes, his speech would be broadcast not just to Earth, but to every human colony and directly to the alien fleet. The Zephyrians had demanded a public response, and they were about to get one. "My fellow humans," Alex began, his voice shaking slightly. "Today, I must deliver the most difficult message in our species' history. We have been contacted by an advanced alien civilization called the Zephyrian Empire." He paused, as if struggling with emotion. "These aliens have technology far beyond our own. Their ships are more powerful than anything we have ever built. Their weapons could destroy our colonies in minutes." The president looked directly into the camera, his face showing what appeared to be genuine fear. "After consulting with our military leaders and scientists, I have reached a painful conclusion. We cannot fight the Zephyrian Empire. Any attempt to resist would result in the destruction of every human settlement beyond Earth." In orbit around Mars, Commander Kate Rogers sat in a disguised communication station, watching the president's speech with admiration. Alex was playing his part perfectly. Even she almost believed he was really surrendering. "Therefore," the president continued, "I am announcing humanity's complete withdrawal from all territory beyond Earth's moon. We will evacuate our colonies within the time frame demanded by the aliens. We will recall our ships and abandon our settlements." The speech was being broadcast to every Zephyrian vessel. On the alien flagship, High Commander Vexathara watched, with 3 of her allies. They were not trying to hide their amusement. "Look at him," laughed Commander Zack. "He can barely speak." "The human is so frightened he can hardly form words." Vexathara smiled with satisfaction. "This is exactly what we expected. Humans are cowards when faced with superior force." The president's speech continued. "To the representatives of the Zephyrian Empire, humanity accepts your terms completely. We recognize that we are not advanced enough to share the galaxy with your civilization. We will return to our home system and remain there." What the aliens did not know was that Kate Rogers was carefully monitoring their communications during the speech. Every alien comment, every expression of satisfaction was being recorded for later study. "Sir," Kate whispered into her communication device, "the aliens are completely convinced. They believe the president's surrender is genuine." 300 miles below Earth's surface, Dr. Ben Taylor was coordinating the most complex deception in human history. On his screens, he could see data from every hidden base and cloaked ship in the solar system. "All units, maintain complete radio silence," Ben broadcast on the secret channel. "The aliens are scanning for any signs of military activity. They must continue to believe we are helpless." The evacuation of the colonies had begun, but it was not what it appeared to be. While civilian transports carried families away from the settlements, they were actually heading to hidden shelters that the aliens knew nothing about. The colonists were not leaving the system. They were being moved to safety before the real battle began. On Europa, Captain Nicole Smith supervised the loading of what looked like emergency supplies onto civilian ships. But hidden inside the cargo containers were advanced weapons and equipment for the secret bases. "How many more ships do we need to move?" asked Lieutenant Tom Brady, who had been transferred from the USS Horizon to help with the deception. 17 more loads, Nicole replied. The aliens think we're evacuating in panic, but we're actually positioning supplies for the counterattack. The Zephyrians were monitoring every human communication, but they only heard what humanity wanted them to hear. Desperate pleas for more evacuation time, arguments between colonial governors about which settlements to abandon first, and technical discussions about ship capacity and travel times. Commander Beth Warren was playing one of the most important roles in the deception. She had volunteered to act as a double agent, sending fake intelligence to the alien fleet. "This is Commander Warren of the Colonial Defense Force," she transmitted to the Zephyrian ships. "I am providing you with updated information about human military positions." On the alien flagship, Vexathara's intelligence officer received the transmission. "Hi, Commander. The human officer is giving us locations of their remaining ships." "Excellent," Vexathara replied. "What does she tell us?" "Well, according to her data, humanity has only 43 military vessels left in space. Most of them are small patrol boats with minimal weapons. She says their largest ship carries weapons that could not penetrate our shields." Vexathara studied the false information with satisfaction. Even the humans' own military officers were confirming what the Zephyrians already believed, that humanity was pathetically weak. What Vexathara did not know was that every piece of information Warren provided was carefully designed to make the aliens overconfident. The 43 ships she mentioned were all decoys. The real fleet remained completely hidden. Back on Earth, Admiral Frank Cole was playing his own part in the deception. He called an emergency meeting with the world's military leaders, knowing that the aliens were monitoring the communication. "Gentlemen," Frank said, his voice heavy with defeat, "we need to discuss our surrender terms. The aliens want a complete withdrawal within 72 hours. General Martinez appeared on screen from what the aliens thought was a regular military base. Admiral, our ship simply cannot move that fast. It takes weeks to travel between star systems." "Then we'll have to leave equipment behind," Frank replied. "The aliens have made it clear that any delay will result in the destruction of our colonies." The aliens listening to this conversation heard exactly what they expected. Human military leaders admitting they were too slow and weak to resist. While the fake evacuation continued, the real human fleet was moving into position. Captain Ryan Bell guided the UES Retribution through the asteroid belt, using the cloaking system to remain invisible to alien sensors. "Navigation. How close can we get to their flagship without being detected?" Ryan asked. "Using the asteroid. Field as cover, we can position ourselves within 5,000 kilometers, replied Navigator Lisa Walsh. "At that range, our weapons will be impossible to miss." Captain Luke Hayes was moving the UES Vengeance into position near Jupiter. His ship would be part of the second wave, targeting the alien command vessels after the main attack began. "Science officer, what's the status of the alien fleet?" Luke asked. "They're maintaining their positions around our colonies, sir," reported Dr. Amy Foster. "Their ships are spread out in what they think is a safe formation. They have no idea. Our vessels are already surrounding them. The hours passed slowly as humanity's secret fleet moved into position. To the aliens, everything appeared normal. They saw the desperate evacuation of human colonies, the panicked communications between human leaders, and the pathetic attempts to negotiate for more time. President Turner delivered one final message as the deadline approached. To High Commander Vexithara and the Zephyrian Empire, humanity formally surrenders all territory beyond Earth's moon. We acknowledge your superiority and will respect your boundaries. We ask only that you allow us to complete our evacuation safely. On the alien flagship, Vexithara watched this final surrender with complete satisfaction. Send a response, she ordered. Tell the humans that we accept their surrender. Inform them that any human vessel found outside Earth's solar system after today will be destroyed without warning. The response was broadcast across human space. The aliens thought they had achieved a complete victory without firing a single shot. They had no idea that humanity had been planning for this moment for over 50 years. Dr. Ben Taylor sat in his underground command center, watching the final pieces of the plan fall into place. In 6 hours, when the aliens were completely confident in their victory, humanity would reveal its true strength. All ships report ready, Kate Rogers announced from her hidden position. 800 vessels are cloaked and in position around the alien fleet. Ben activated the communication system that would reach every secret base and hidden ship in the solar system. Attention all units. The deception phase is complete. The aliens believe they have won. In 6 hours, we will show them how wrong they are. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was not advanced technology or superior firepower. It was the ability to make enemies underestimate them completely. Admiral Sam Phillips floated in the command center of the hidden base inside Jupiter's moon Europa. Around him, dozens of officers worked at stations that controlled the most advanced fleet in the galaxy. On the main screen, he could see the positions of every alien ship in the solar system. Status report, Sam called to his operations officer. All 837 vessels are in position, reported Captain Ellen Davis. The aliens have no idea we're here. Sam studied the tactical display. The Zephyrian fleet was spread out in what they thought was a secure formation. Their ships hung in space around human colonies like predators watching helpless prey. They had powered down their weapons and reduced their shield strength to save energy. They're so confident, Sam muttered. Look at them. They're not even trying to defend themselves. On the other side of Jupiter, Captain Luke Hayes commanded the UES Vengeance as it moved silently through space. His ship was part of the outer ring of vessels that would cut off any alien escape routes. Engineering. What's our cloak efficiency? Luke asked. Chief Engineer Mark Wilson checked his instruments. 100%, Captain. The Zephyrian sensors cannot detect us at all. As far as they know, this entire area of space is empty. Luke walked to the tactical station where Lieutenant Sarah Johnson was monitoring alien communications. What are they saying, Sarah? They're celebrating, sir, Sarah replied with disgust. They're already discussing how to divide up human territory among their allies. Luke listened to the translated alien voices coming through the speakers. The creatures were laughing and making jokes about human weakness. They sounded like bullies who had just beaten up a smaller child. Meanwhile, Commander Beth Warren was maintaining her role as a double agent. She continued to send false intelligence to the alien fleet, making sure they remained overconfident. This is Commander Warren with another update, she transmitted to the Zephyrian ships. Human evacuation is proceeding faster than expected. Most of our military vessels have already left the system. On the alien flagship, Intelligence Officer Kethvar received the transmission. High Commander, the human spy reports that their fleet is almost completely gone. Vexithara was enjoying a meal in her private quarters, celebrating what she thought was an easy victory. How many ships remain? Only 12 vessels, mostly cargo ships helping with the evacuation, Kethvar replied. Their military appears to have abandoned the colonies completely. Vexithara laughed, showing her sharp teeth. Humans are even more cowardly than we expected. They ran away before we even threatened them directly. What the aliens did not know was that the cargo ships they could see were actually some of humanity's most advanced vessels, disguised to look primitive. Each one carried weapons that could destroy an entire alien squadron. In the asteroid belt, Admiral Dan Rodriguez supervised the final positioning of the main attack force. His flagship, the UES Liberator, was hidden inside what appeared to be a large piece of space rock. Admiral, reported Commander Kate Rogers, all ships report ready for Operation Revelation. We're waiting for your signal. Dan looked at the chronometer on his wall. In 3 hours, humanity would launch the largest surprise attack in galactic history. Send a message to all units. Remind them that we get only one chance at this. The moment we decloak, the aliens will know we've been deceiving them. The message went out across the secret communication network. On hundreds of ships throughout the solar system, human crews made final preparations for battle. Captain Ryan Bell stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching his crew work with quiet efficiency. His ship was positioned less than 10,000 kilometers from the alien flagship, close enough to disable it within seconds of decloaking. "Weapons officer, what's our targeting solution?" Ryan asked. Lieutenant Chris Parker checked his displays. "We have locks on 17 alien vessels, sir. Our plasma cannons are charged and ready. The moment our cloak drops, we can begin firing." "What about their shields?" "According to intelligence, their shields are currently at 20% power. To conserve energy, our weapons will cut through them like paper." Ryan nodded. The aliens were making every mistake possible. They had positioned their ships poorly, reduced their defenses, and spread their fleet too thin. It was as if they wanted to be defeated. On the hidden lunar base, Commander Jack Turner was preparing humanity's secret superweapon. The massive gravity cannon had been disguised as a research facility for 30 years. "Targeting computer, confirm." "Lock on the Zephyrian command ship," Jack ordered. "Lock confirmed," replied the computer. "Gravity projector is charged to full power. One shot will completely destroy the target vessel." Jack hesitated. The weapon was so powerful it could tear apart matter at the atomic level. But Admiral Phillips had ordered him to use minimum force necessary. They wanted prisoners, not destruction. "Reduce power to 30%, Jack commanded. "We want to disable their ship, not vaporize it." Throughout the solar system, similar conversations were taking place on hundreds of hidden vessels. Human crews who had trained for decades were finally preparing for their first real battle. The alien fleet continued its patrol patterns, completely unaware that they were surrounded. Their communications chatter showed how relaxed they had become. "Patrol. Group 7 to command," transmitted an alien pilot. "All sectors clear. No sign of human military activity." "Confirmed, 7," replied the alien command ship. "Continue standard patrol. The humans appear to have given up completely." If the alien pilot had looked more carefully, he would have noticed that some of the asteroids around him were shaped slightly wrong. But the Zephyrians had become so confident that they were not paying attention to details. Admiral Phillips opened a secure channel to speak directly with Dr. Ben Taylor in the underground command center. "Ben, are you receiving telemetry from..." All our ships? Yes, Sam, Ben replied from 300 miles below the Earth's surface. Every vessel is reporting green status. Weapons charged, targeting computers locked, cloaking systems operating perfectly. What about the aliens? Any sign they suspect anything? Ben checked the intelligence reports coming in from the monitoring stations. Nothing. They're actually reducing their alert status. Some of their ships are powering down non-essential systems. Sam shook his head in amazement. They really think they've won without a fight. Their arrogance is working in our favor, Ben agreed. They're so convinced of their superiority that they can't imagine we might surprise them. As the final hour approached, the hidden human fleet made its last adjustments. Ships that had been concealed for years moved into perfect attack positions. Weapons that the aliens had never seen were powered up and targeted. Captain Nicole Smith commanded a squadron of ships disguised as mining vessels near Saturn. Her crew had spent months pretending to extract ice from the planet's rings while actually preparing for this moment. All ships, final systems check, Nicole broadcast to her squadron. Remember, we need to disable as many alien vessels as possible. We want their technology and their personnel intact. The responses came back. Quickly. Ship 2 ready. Ship 3 ready. Ship 4 ready. Nicole looked at the tactical display showing the alien ships in her area. They were flying in a loose formation, their weapons powered down, their crews probably eating dinner and celebrating their easy victory. In 1 hour, you're going to learn that humanity doesn't surrender as easily as you think, Nicole said quietly. Across the solar system, 837 human vessels waited in perfect silence. The largest fleet humanity had ever assembled was invisible to alien sensors, positioned for the greatest surprise attack in galactic history. Admiral Phillips made one final communication to all ships. This is Admiral Phillips to all units. In 60 minutes, we will execute Operation Revelation. Remember, we're not just fighting for humanity's freedom. We're showing the galaxy that underestimating us comes with a price. He paused, thinking about the alien pilot who had crashed on Earth 53 years ago and warned humanity about this day. For the next hour, maintain absolute silence. When the time comes, we will decloak simultaneously and show the Zephyrian Empire what humanity is really capable of. The countdown had begun. In 60 minutes, the laughter would stop forever. Admiral Dan Rodriguez looked at the chronometer on his command screen. 10 seconds remained until Operation Revelation would begin. Around him, the bridge crew of the UES Liberator sat in complete silence, their hands poised over their controls. 5 seconds, Dan announced quietly. Throughout the solar system, 837 human vessels waited for the same moment. Crews who had trained for decades held their breath as the final countdown approached. 3, 2, 1, execute. The word execute had barely left Dan's lips when the most shocking moment in galactic history began. Across the entire solar system, hundreds of advanced human warships dropped their cloaking systems at exactly the same instant. On the alien flagship, High Commander Vexathara was enjoying a victory celebration with her officers when every alarm on the ship began screaming at once. The bridge erupted into chaos as sensor operators tried to understand what they were seeing. "High Commander!" shouted Intelligence Officer Kethvar. "We're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system." "What kind of energy signatures?" Vexathara demanded, her forearms reaching for her weapons. "Ships, Commander. Hundreds of ships. They're appearing everywhere." Vexathara rushed to the main display screen and felt her blood turn cold. Where moments before there had been empty space, the screen now showed sleek, advanced vessels that looked nothing like the primitive human ships they had been studying. "How many?" she whispered. "Over 800 vessels, High Commander. They're surrounding our entire fleet." Vexathara stared at the tactical display in shock. The human ships were positioned perfectly, cutting off every escape route and targeting every alien vessel. It was impossible. Humans were supposed to be primitive. They were supposed to be weak. Captain Jake Morrison, now commanding the UES Defiance, opened a communication channel to the alien flagship. His voice was calm and professional, but there was steel beneath the politeness. "High Commander Vexathara, this is Captain Morrison of the United Earth Space Command. I believe you wanted to speak with humanity's military leadership." "On the alien bridge!" Vexathara's officers looked at her with panic in their eyes. Commander Zack, who had been so confident just hours before, was now clicking his mandibles in fear. "This is impossible," Zack chittered. "Human technology is primitive. We scanned their ships. We analyzed their weapons." "You scanned what we wanted you to scan," Jake replied calmly. "You analyzed the technology we wanted you to see. Did you really think a species capable of space travel would show you our real military strength?" Throughout the solar system, alien crews were discovering the same terrifying truth. Ships they thought were cargo vessels were revealing weapons that made Zephyrian technology look like stone tools. Vessels they had dismissed as primitive mining equipment were powering up shield systems that their sensors could not even understand. Captain Ryan Bell positioned the UES Retribution directly in front of the alien flagship. The human ship was smaller than the massive Zephyrian vessel, but every alien on the bridge could see that it was far more advanced. "Vexathara," Ryan transmitted, 53 years ago, one of your enemies crashed on our planet. Before he died, he warned us that you would come. He told us that our only chance was to become stronger than you while making you believe we were weak." Vexathara found her voice. "You're lying. Humans are primitive. You barely learned to travel between stars." "That's what we wanted you to think," Ryan replied. "While you were watching our fake ships and primitive technology, we were building a fleet that makes yours look like museum pieces." To prove his point, Ryan ordered a demonstration. "Weapons officer, target the asteroid at coordinates 77 Mark IV. Minimum power." Lieutenant Parker pressed a single button. A beam of pure energy lanced out from the Retribution and struck the asteroid. The massive rock, larger than most buildings, simply ceased to exist. It did not explode or break apart. It was completely converted to energy and disappeared. On the alien flagship, every creature on the bridge stepped backward in terror. Their most powerful weapons could destroy a ship or level a city, but they had never seen anything that could erase matter from existence. "That was our weakest weapon at minimum power," Ryan said conversationally. "Would you like to see what our real weapons can do?" Captain Luke Hayes moved the UES Vengeance alongside another alien vessel. His ship's weapons were different from the Retribution's, designed to disable rather than destroy. "Alien vessel," Luke transmitted, "power down your weapons and surrender, or we will power them down for you." The alien captain, a reptilian creature named Commander Thex, tried to sound brave. "Human vessel, you may have surprised us, but you are still outnumbered. Our entire empire will come for you." "Your entire empire is welcome to try," Luke replied. "But first, let me show you something." Luke nodded to his weapons officer. A different type of beam shot out from the Vengeance and struck the alien ship. Instead of destroying it, the beam seemed to sink into the alien vessel's hull. Within seconds, Every system on the alien ship began shutting down. Weapons powered off, shields collapsed, and life support switched to emergency backup. The aliens found themselves completely helpless. "What did you do to us?" Commander Thex demanded. "We've introduced nanites into your ship's computer systems," Luke explained. "They're rewriting your software to make your ship safe for boarding. Don't worry, your life support will continue working. We want you alive." Throughout the solar system, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships were demonstrating technology that the aliens could not understand or counter. What should have been an easy conquest was turning into a complete disaster for the Zephyrian Empire. Admiral Phillips opened a channel that reached every ship in both fleets. "Attention, Zephyrian vessels. This is Admiral Phillips of the United Earth Space Command. You came to our system believing you were dealing with a primitive species. You were wrong." His voice carried across space to hundreds of alien crews who were just beginning to understand how badly they had underestimated humanity. "For 53 years, we have been preparing for this moment. We studied your technology, learned your weaknesses, and developed weapons specifically designed to defeat you. While you grew overconfident from easy victories, we grew stronger from necessity." Vexathara finally found the courage to respond. "Even if you defeat us, the Empire will send larger fleets. You cannot fight our entire civilization." "You're right," Phillips admitted. "We probably cannot defeat your entire empire, but we don't need to. We just need to defeat you so completely that the rest of the galaxy learns what happens when someone underestimates humanity." Captain Nicole Smith had moved her disguised mining ships into position around a group of smaller alien vessels. "Zephyrian ships, this is Captain Smith. You have 30 seconds to surrender before we demonstrate why laughing at humans was a mistake." One of the alien captains, clearly panicking, tried to flee. His ship turned toward open space and engaged its fastest engines. Nicole watched calmly as the alien vessel accelerated away from her position. "Helm, pursue that ship," Nicole ordered. "Ma'am, he's already got a significant head start," her navigator warned. "It doesn't matter," Nicole replied. "Show him our real speed." The UES Pioneer engaged its quantum drive and simply vanished from its position. An instant later, it appeared directly in front of the fleeing alien ship, completely blocking its escape route. The alien captain stared in horror at his display screen. The human ship had traveled faster than anything he had ever seen. It had crossed a distance that should have taken hours in less than a second. "Surrender now," Nicole transmitted, "or we'll show you what our weapons can do at close range." The alien ship powered down its engines and weapons. Its captain's voice shook as he transmitted his surrender. Back at the alien flagship, Vexathara watched as her entire fleet was systematically surrounded and outmaneuvered by ships that should not have existed. Every assumption her people had made about humans was proving to be wrong. "Hi, Commander," Kethvar reported, his voice barely a whisper. "We're receiving surrender signals from 60% of our fleet. The humans are not destroying our ships. They're capturing them intact." Vexathara realized the full scope of the disaster. Not only had humans defeated them, but they were doing it in a way that would allow them to study Zephyrian technology and interrogate prisoners. Captain Morrison's voice came through the communication system one more time. "Hi, Commander Vexathara. I'm going to give you the same choice you gave us. Surrender completely or face the consequences. You have 60 seconds to decide." Vexathara looked around at her bridge crew. They were all staring at her, waiting for orders she did not know how to give. For the first time in her military career, she was facing an enemy that was stronger, smarter, and better prepared than she was. The chronometer counted down the seconds. 59, 58, 57. The High Commander of the Zephyrian Empire, who had come to Earth expecting to accept the surrender of a primitive species, realized that she was about to surrender to them instead. Dr. Ben Taylor sat in his command center, watching reports come in from across known space. The plan had worked beyond his wildest hopes. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had changed the entire balance of galactic power. Dr. Taylor called Captain Nicole Smith from her ship. "We're receiving a transmission from the hegemony survivors, the species whose ship crashed on Earth 50 years ago." Ben felt a chill of excitement. "Put them through." A face appeared on his screen, humanoid but clearly alien, with large eyes and pale blue skin. "Greetings, humans. I am Ambassador Keth of the Hegemony Remnant. We have watched your victory over the Zephyrian Empire with great interest." "Ambassador," Ben replied, "your people's sacrifice made this victory possible. The pilot who warned us about the Zephyrians saved our entire species. And in saving yourselves, you have given hope to countless species throughout the galaxy." Keth replied, "The Zephyrian Empire has oppressed this region of space for over 1,000 years. Today, for the first time, someone has proven they can be defeated." Ben looked at the screens showing captured alien ships and thousands of prisoners. "What happens now?" "Now," said Ambassador Keth, "the real work begins. The galaxy is about to change, and humanity is at the center of that change. The species that laughed at you yesterday will be asking for your help tomorrow." Ben thought about the journey that had brought humanity to this moment. From the crash of a single alien ship to the defeat of an entire empire. It had taken 53 years of secret preparation, but the wait had been worth it. The aliens had laughed at humanity, believing them to be primitive and weak. But as Admiral Phillips had said, the laughter had stopped forever. In its place was a new respect for the species that had turned apparent weakness into ultimate strength. Humanity. High Commander Vexithara stared at the countdown timer on her screen. 30 seconds remained before the humans would demonstrate what their weapons could really do. Around her, the bridge crew of the Zephyrian flagship waited in terrified silence. "Show, Commander," whispered Intelligence Officer Kethvar. "What are your orders?" Vexithara looked at the tactical display showing human ships surrounding her entire fleet. Every alien vessel was targeted by multiple human weapons. There was no escape, no way to fight back, and no reinforcements coming. "All ships," she transmitted with a voice heavy with defeat. "This is High Commander Vexithara. Stand down weapons and prepare to surrender." The words felt like poison in her mouth, but she had no choice. In 50 years of military service, she had never faced an enemy that was so completely superior. Captain Jake Morrison received the surrender transmission and opened a channel to Admiral Phillips. "Sir, the alien commander is surrendering her fleet." "Confirmed, Jake," Phillips replied from his hidden command center. "Begin boarding operations. Remember, we want their technology intact and their personnel alive for questioning." Across the solar system, human crews began the careful process of securing alien vessels. It was an operation they had practiced thousands of times in secret simulations, but never thought they would use in real combat. Captain Ryan Bell guided the UES Retribution, alongside the massive alien flagship. The human ship was dwarfed by the Zephyrian vessel, but everyone knew which one was really in control. "Vexithara," Ryan transmitted. "We're sending a boarding party to your ship. Your crew will not be harmed if they cooperate fully." A few minutes later, human soldiers in advanced armor stepped onto the alien bridge. They moved with confidence and precision, their weapons ready, but not threatening. Vexithara watched in amazement as the humans secured her ship without violence. Lieutenant Sarah Johnson, leading the boarding party, approached Vexithara respectfully. "High Commander, I'm Lieutenant Johnson. You and your crew are now prisoners of the United Earth Space Command. You will be treated according to the laws of war." Vexithara looked at the young human officer with confusion. "Laws of war? You speak of laws when you have defeated us so completely?" "Strength without honor is meaningless," Sarah replied. "Humans fight to defend ourselves, not to become monsters." Meanwhile, Admiral Frank Cole was coordinating the aftermath of the battle from Earth Command. The entire engagement had lasted less than 30 minutes, but it had changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. "Status report," Frank called. To his staff, "All alien vessels have surrendered or been disabled," reported Colonel Martinez. "We have over 2,000 alien prisoners and have captured 47 intact ships. Our casualties are 0. Frank shook his head in amazement. 0 casualties. The aliens had been so completely outmatched that they could not even hurt a single human. Captain Nicole Smith was supervising the boarding of 6 alien vessels near Jupiter. Her mining ship disguise had worked perfectly. The aliens had never suspected that cargo ships could hide such advanced weapons. "Captain," reported Chief Engineer Mark Wilson, "we're finding some interesting technology on these ships. Their computers contain star charts showing the locations of hundreds of alien worlds." Nicole smiled. "Make sure everything is copied to our databases. This information will be very useful for future negotiations." Back on the alien flagship, Vexithara was being escorted to a secure area when she stopped and turned to Lieutenant Johnson. "I must ask you something, human." "What is it?" "How long have you been planning this deception? How long have you been hiding your true strength?" Sarah considered the question carefully. "We've been preparing for over 50 years. Ever since we learned that species like yours existed." 50 years? Vexithara was stunned. "You have been hiding your advancement for 50 years? We learned early that the galaxy can be a dangerous place for species that appear weak," Sarah explained. "So we made sure that when someone tried to take advantage of our apparent weakness, they would get a very unpleasant surprise. Dr. Ben." Taylor was monitoring the entire operation from his underground command center. The plan had worked even better than he had hoped. Not only had humanity defeated the alien fleet, but they had done it in a way that would send a message across the galaxy. "Admiral Phillips," Ben transmitted, "we're receiving communication requests from over 30 different alien species. Word of the battle is already spreading." "What kind of communications?" Phillips asked. "Most of them want to establish diplomatic relations with humanity. It seems that defeating the Zephyrian Empire has made us very popular with their enemies." Phillips chuckled. "Funny how that works. Yesterday we were unknown primitives. Today we're potential allies." Captain Luke Hayes was overseeing the interrogation of captured alien officers. The information they were providing was changing humanity's understanding of galactic politics. "Captain," reported Intelligence Officer Amy Foster, "according to the prisoners, the Zephyrian Empire controls over 200 star systems. But they also have enemies throughout the galaxy, species that have been waiting for someone strong enough to challenge them." And now they think we're that someone, Luke observed. It appears so, sir. Several species have already sent messages, offering to form military alliances with humanity. The news got even better when Admiral Rodriguez reported from the asteroid base. We're analyzing the captured alien technology. Their ships are advanced, but in completely different ways than ours. If we combine their knowledge with our technology, we could build ships that are decades ahead of anything else in the galaxy, President. Turner appeared on screen from the White House, where he was preparing to address not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Admirals, the aliens demanded a public response when they thought we were surrendering. I think it's time to give them a public response now that we've won. An hour later, President Turner stood before cameras that would broadcast his message to every inhabited world in known space. But this speech was very different from his earlier surrender. To the civilizations of the galaxy, he began. This is President Turner of the United Earth Alliance. Earlier today, the Zephyrian Empire demanded that humanity surrender all territory beyond our home system. They believed we were too primitive to resist their demands. He paused, looking directly into the camera. They were wrong. The broadcast showed footage of the battle, alien ships being surrounded and captured by vessels that appeared from nowhere. The images were shocking to species that had believed humans were barely capable of space travel. For over 50 years, humanity has been preparing for this day. We knew that the galaxy contained species that might try to take advantage of those they perceived as weak, so we became strong while appearing weak. Turner's voice grew stronger. The Zephyrian Empire came to our system with over 50 warships, expecting easy conquest. Today, their entire fleet surrenders to forces they never saw coming. High Commander Vexithara, who demanded our submission, is now our prisoner. The president looked directly at the camera for his final words. Let this be a message to any species considering aggression against humanity. We are not the primitive civilization you think we are. We are patient, we are prepared, and we do not surrender to bullies. The broadcast ended, but its effects rippled across the galaxy within hours. Species that had never heard of humans were suddenly very interested in establishing contact. The Zephyrian Empire's allies began reconsidering their loyalties. Most importantly, dozens of species that had been oppressed by the Empire began planning their own rebellions.